let's go. Very first special guest, Pete Montgomery, creative director of Xero. Welcome, brother.
Thanks, Pat. Hi, everybody. That's great to be here. I didn't know this was the first one. I feel really honoured now.
Yeah, well, we thought we'd do something special just because you were coming on, and we're going to talk a bit of business. And as you can see by this really pretty background, Monster's been doing lots of real talks with famous people, and so us humble characters are just going to keep it on the DL and just do it office hours style.
Nice one.
Love it. How's my connection? Is it all right? A little bit laggy.
Yeah, a little bit laggy, but I can keep up.
Let's go then. Hey, I love the background, bro. What do you got in there? We got some Eskimos. We got a few.
We call them explorers now. A little bit of art from the Poi Room, one of my favorite galleries in Auckland. The Poi Room, just great New Zealand art. We've got the jet planes here. I sound like I'm doing a sales pitch for them, but always I'm based in Wellington, but every time we're in Tamaki Makaurau, it's just like, let's get to the Poi Room, see what they've got in there. I got a little Otis as well. Oh,
I got you into the Poi Room in Auckland, and you're from Wellington, and then you see that fella up there. Where is he? Where's my hand? There he is. Where is he? Okay, can't navigate. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, I got him from the gallery in Wellington, which is pretty cool.
Nice. What else we got? Over here. We've got a little Otis Frizzell. One of my favorite food trucks. Sarah and Otis was the Lucky Taco up there. You can see I might as well move to Auckland the way I keep repping the art. But great little campaign they did 7 or 8 years ago to find one of Otis's hand-signed posters that they put up with phantom bill posters around the country. Get a selfie with their poster, enter the comp. Winner would get a sort of a limited edition print, and so we got it framed because it's beautiful. And so
did you win your tin bum?
Oh, I won. Yeah, I got 15 of 15, so one of the last runs. But I found one. There's one outside my old office when I was at Ocean Design in Wellington. There was another one I found when I went to Field Days back in 2012 up in, even longer now. Up in Hamilton, I found one, got a selfie with that, and just entered it in there. Social media, I mean, those guys they just kick it. Love that brand, love their product as well, love their food.
Man, I love how you just diving into the chronology of all the cool shit that you've done and experienced. For folks that don't know, so Pete, you're the creative director at Xero. Oh man, we're stalling out. But so you're the creative director at Xero. Just to give people a bit of context, like what does that mean on a day-to-day for you and your team that you lead? Like what's it involved? Because it's a beast, right?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. A lot of people ask me in industry, in the creative industry, why would you go in-house? Like that's a big thing I always got from colleagues, like old workmates at ad agencies. Why go in-house? And it's huge. It's a great brand. It was new. I'd always sort of looked across the road at this little company that was kind of bubbling away and taking on the world. And when I applied for the role, it was like, I'm not a web designer. I don't speak the lingo. What I speak is ideas. And if you guys are into that, then I'd love to come on board. And a real small team. And I sort of got in there and realized that, there was so much opportunity. At the time you were doing your thing up in Auckland, and we were just like, wow, man, there's a vibe here. There's a talent pool, but there's just things that could be better. And what I always say, when people are coming in for roles, I say, like, we're like an agency, but it was all the good stuff and none of the bad. And it's just that,
is it bad for clients?
Well, no, it's the hours. It was the, we just didn't want to do 70-hour weeks anymore, and just constantly worried about your next piece of business and pitching and all of that. And I think that's great. That you've got to have that. You can't get like lazy. You've still got to have a hunger for the idea and taking your message, taking your brand to the market. But Yeah, coming in there, it was the hub was our internal agency team, and just touching on so many different aspects. And I didn't realize from the outside how many different audiences there were for the Xero product. So, and also how many things to do. And that's what I love. Like, I was when I got into design, one of the head lecturers said to me, "You graduated, but you didn't graduate with a major." Because I just, it was like a creative buffet for me. I was like, illustration, advertising, motion graphics, 3D, 3D design, AV, audio visual. I just wanted to do it all. And so they always said to me, after I left, they shut it down and you had to do prerequisites. But so I just love that integration, and that's what we've got going at the moment internally at the hub.
Yeah, and so how, like, because you come from agency world, and there's quite a structure there, and you came into something that was evolving and fluid. But do you want to just tell us a bit about your background in agency and some of the things that you've done and some of the places that you worked? And because it's cool for people to hear somebody that didn't really major in anything now lands in a role like this, and New Zealand's tech darling, and one of the most recognized software as a service brands in the world, and you're creative director in that. Like, people will take a lot of inspiration from that. But so what was the road like in terms of your career before Xero?
Yeah, let's go right back into the archives, man. Let's
go.
So yeah, I think I always wanted to do this. I put in my little profile. I told my mum I wanted to be an artist or a rock star, and I think just from that is I just wanted to create. I just wanted to make things, and I was doing illustration, design, and all that stuff. And when I got to sort of university, and when I graduated, I just want to make cool stuff. And my first job, I was lucky enough to get picked to go and work in London. So my first job was there, doing annual reports, and design was kind of, you're imposing your will upon people. For me, as well, I was like a young man traveling the world, imposing my will. Like, design was all about structure, all about creating order out of chaos. But it was kind of like, it was kind of what I wanted to do, but I didn't know why I wanted to do it. And so it's kind of been this journey of over the last 25 years, doing this journey of why is it that I do this? And so, I came back, I did a lot of OE. My wife and I, we went and worked, and we did the whole, we're here to travel. So have that experience that, I really wish and I hope that people still get to experience, and just to see other cultures and the way other people do it and the way other businesses do things as well. And bring some of that back. We always said that New Zealand's a country of shopkeepers, and I kind of cringe at that statement, but there's something nice about it. But I came back, and I was lucky enough again to get into agency life, get into Clemenger BBDO, integrated agency. And as I said, that creative buffet just set my eyes alight. We're doing.
And just for context, bro, you're going Clem's still a great shot, but you're going in there when she's absolutely hissing, right?
Oh yeah, this is 2001. This is just one national bank, which is now ANZ. So this is really sort of people are going to have to start scraping the Google to find out these things. But get in there and everything's just firing. The agency's up to 100 people. There's areas of new marketing coming up. There's digital design. I mean, people talk about websites and interactive design, and people are still using Flash to create things. And it was, you do a campaign, and that was all the other things that need to fire off that. Right, what's our website going to be? What's the TV ad going to be? What's the newsprint ad going to be? And the thing that sort of was just great about that was just exposed to so many different ways of communicating, so many different channels. And I love the fact that as we evolved in that, we just went, we need to be channel neutral. We need to know the idea and then apply it to the relevant channel, rather than just trying to do everything for, every format for everyone. It's choose something, choose your hero, who's going to get the best reach. And back then it was TV. It's probably still TV. Or it may be newsprint, or it may have been some direct marketing was something that we still used to do. Shit that folds is what people that used to criticize that. And yeah, we were just sort of getting into that, and I became the creative director of the design team. I got to go to Cannes in south of France and see
wow,
some of the top shops, some of the top work, and it's still exciting, but it was just getting to that point, it was becoming, man, this is sort of a grind. Like what's sort of really inspiring. And I was approached by Blair Mannering at Ocean Design. I'd always, again, as a Wellington institution, really, as a design agency. Ocean was like one of the places I wanted to be. And lucky enough to get in there for a couple of years. And that just, again, it was another pivot. I know we shouldn't use that word after 2 years of it, but this real kind of immersion of employee value propositions, CEO communications, brand identity, and idea, brand strategy. And I was just like, just fill me up. And I've got this, I always say I've got this sort of tower of guilt of books that I just read. And it was kind of he and Ocean and all the work we're doing there, working with, again, still working with government agencies, because we're Wellington. We've got a lot of people that are working with behavioural change. You're working with sort of some areas of policy and all that. But it was just this, wow, behavior change. I'm going to read Dan Chip Heath's book on Switch. I'm going to read him about growing business. I'm going to read that. And so that was just like, again, filling me up with all of this sort of knowledge. And then I was sort of going, okay, I could still do the what, do the beautiful design work, but then it was like really starting to get into the why. And that's what just keeps me going. And I'm still asking it, still working on our brand, still asking the whys. Still, communicating. We've got small businesses that come to us, or when we're looking at like our creative ideas, still asking like, what's the why? Like, what's the insight?
Yeah. Oh, man. It must fill you with a lot of pride, bro. Looking back on your career and the projects that you've been part of and the teams that you've been part of, and now at Xero, must fill you with a lot of pride.
Yeah. I think I posted it the other day. I was listening to this podcast, Hidden Brain, Shankar Vedantam, and listened to about your purpose. And it just sort of really struck me. I was like, so much it was just like, I have these goals, I want to earn more. And I sort of thought, I shouldn't be shy about that. It's about, you want to earn money for your family to provide, and also to give experiences. Experiences cost money. And so, we want that as goals, but purpose, I just sort of went for it like, you know what? I've had so much good experiences with people, with teams, that I just want my purpose to be something more around like, create an environment, create a space where people can come and do or explore or reach their best creative potential, so they can then go on to do the next thing. And looking back, there's been a huge number of projects. I sort of, I have to stop, because some of them, as I say, you get a little bit to the archives, or you flick back and you go like, oh man, that was 2011. Have I done anything like that cool since then?
Yeah.
But, you do sort of have to like, the past glories are nice. And you definitely hold those up and you cherish them. But it's like, how do they move you forward?
Let's talk about what you do at Xero now, because I want people to get an idea of practically what goes on inside of that place that people don't have insight into. Because everything that you touched on in your career is kind of what you do in there now every single day. And I don't think people have an awareness of that. And I'm saying that and setting it up because, Xero is one of those platforms that they're quite simply the biggest platform, one of the biggest platforms for small business in Aotearoa. Like the only ones that are bigger, to my knowledge, would be the IRD, the company's office, and they're all kind of compliance based, and it's pretty interesting that Xero is also accounting, and that's compliance as well. But like the sheer scope and magnitude of what you do inside of that place, can you give us just like some snippet of an idea of what sort of scale is going through there?
So my direct responsibility is the New Zealand marketplace for the ideas and presenting our brand and communicating to our small business customers. So what is Xero going to do for you to improve your day, improve how you work, let you get back to the things that really matter to you. And then it's the same, like we've got accounting and bookkeeping partners. So we need to understand, like, well, what is it that's doing them? And there are, I mean, events and connections and experiences are a huge thing of what we're doing. So we will have the road shows, which run across New Zealand, but they also run across Australia and all our other regions. So I sit at the moment in working with the events brand team on our XeroCon. So we have global XeroCons, hopefully to be back in person. The massive events. You've been to, I think, every one of them up until and you know the sort of the scale of them. They're like putting on. There's some PR quotes around Coachella for accountants, or the Burning Man, or something like that for accountancy, and they're huge events, and they have a huge amount of material that needs to go with them, collateral. And then you've got the campaigns that we want to put out. So getting a team, briefing them, getting the brief, working with our marketing colleagues. And the great thing about being in-house is that we've got this direct line. We're not sitting back waiting for the client to contact us and say, I've got you this problem for you to solve. And then waiting 6 weeks to go back and present. It's constant communication. It can refine the brief. We can keep molding that. We can keep having conversation. What's the insight? What's the problem? Like, what are we trying to solve here? So we've got that. We've got everything from our building signage, which I have designers working on. We have presentation decks of our account managers that are going out to talk to their customers. It really is a full agency service. And then we have our motion graphics team, our hugely experienced and talented motion graphics team, bringing to life not just the creative work that we have, but also their own projects as well. So, how-to videos or YouTube videos that they'll be working on. That, along with the video media team who will be putting it. And so, it's getting like, I say to people, even though I've worked at Clemenger, and even though I've worked, on big brands, this is the biggest brand. It's the biggest agency, biggest creative agency I've ever been a part of. And sometimes you just have to stop and think, here we are in Wellington, and because everything can be done remotely. But here we are in Wellington, sort of working on a lot of that stuff, and working on it with our UK colleagues, our San Fran or US colleagues, and of course our Melbourne team.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. I wanted you to give people an idea of that, because I want you to share with the folks watching, like, from your perspective, what is the importance of brand, just as a starter for 10? Like, why is brand important? Because small businesses don't really think about brand. They don't really consider it. They don't get it. Like they want to focus on sales. Perhaps they think a brand is a brand mark, or things like that. But from your experience, what is the importance of brand, and how should small businesses sort of take that sort of background explanation that you're going to give and start thinking about how they can utilize, firstly, brand inside of their own small business?
Yeah, there's so many great quotes that we rattle off. Like, brand is what they say about you when you're not in the room. I think the one thing for small business, and a lot of New Zealand small businesses are 1 to 5 people. So much of it is about the owner, operator, and that immediate team. Inside out brand is what we always talk about. It's got to be believed. Your brand has to be who you are. It has to be honest. It has to be transparent. Your product and your service have to be phenomenal. Like, that's what you're selling at the end of the day. But your brand is what sort of tells people why you should be using your product or service. So everything that comes back to it, like we always used to say, and again, it's an old adage, but every brand is it's the logo that's on your door, but it's the way that you answer the phone. It's the way you greet people when they come in the door. It's it's the type of message that you put out. And I know I veer away from jargon and onions and pyramids and all that, but
stacks and houses.
Yeah, there is this ripple effect. It starts with your DNA. What is true to your business, your product, your brand, your service, who you are, and then out to your tone of voice and how are you going to present that, and then out to your touch points, your website, your signage on your door, and then what is the outtake from that? And everything is all connected. It's not just do the logo, and my job's done. Oh, I've got a sick logo. Like, yeah, cool, you have. Like, and that, you know, when I was a young designer, that's what it was all about. Like, do the best looking logo. And then it was like, do the best looking logo with the backup of everything else. Because that's the thing that like really drove me when I was at Ocean, and we started talking to CEOs and saying, hey, it's not just for your team to do this, it's got to come from you as well. You've got to believe it. Because a lot of those big corporations, and this is the beauty about small businesses, that you can still be so in touch with how that moves, and it can be evolving. It can evolve quickly when you're small, but when you get big, a lot of it comes locked down, and so it becomes hard to move. And if you don't have those foundations right, then you know you're sort of you're in a big rebrand, and you're a big, let's go to the market and tell them that we've changed. So when you're small, like that's when you got the chance to embed it. Like, yeah, but you know, I always sort of think like, I look past the logos now, and I always look into like, how do I feel? How does that person make me feel? Like that Maya Angelou quote about, you know, people will always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because, you know, especially for small business, and they're so embedded and entrenched into this digital world, and so much of that digital world is you know, driving hyper competition with thousands of people bidding, you know, for the same ad impression across these social platforms, and you know, you and every other competitor doing exactly the same thing, and you know, everybody just talking about their products and their services, and probably at best selling a few features and benefits. But I really think that you know, they look past all of that stuff that you began to talk about, which is really the big opportunity to distinguish yourself from everybody else out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, starting off, when you're starting off, and you know, I'm not sure where anybody's on the journey, but you've always got your family and your friends that support you. But the next thing about your brand is like, how do you convince a stranger about all that stuff that your friends and family are so proud and supportive of you for? So it's cutting through that sort of difference as well. And also it's been smart, because you don't have the big bucks to do the mass kind of digital sort of coverage. It's like, how can you be smart? Like, how can you play on things, mate? You know, maybe a few dollars here and there on some sponsored posts are fine, but what's the message that's going to be in there? Because you don't want to just become wallpaper.
Yeah, but so our observation is so many small businesses think that, you know, to get into exercise that you know, the output is you have an understanding of what your brand is, your tone, whatever those touch points are of the brand that come out of that brand strategy. They just think it's expensive, right? They think it's expensive. They think it's time consuming. You know, if there's a small business operator that's watching this, can you suggest like just a real simple couple of things that they can hit, you know, that they can dive into, do themselves, that will help to give them you know, the basis or the foundation of a structure of a brand, and just those important parts that are going to help them to distinguish themselves in the market a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it does. You don't, you know, I'm not going to cannibalize the industry, because I think there's absolute value and the people that sort of do this and do it at scale and do it for very good reasons. But it is just noting down, just writing yourself, like put it on the wall somewhere. Like, what is your DNA? What is true? What is the human truth about your product, service, or business? Like, that is the thing that's always going to come back to, and that's what you're going to keep selling. Like, your DNA, like put that down. Then your personality, like, you know, there's all sorts of it. Are we a Ferrari? Are we a reliable VW? You know, are we Robbie Williams, or are we Dua Lipa? Like, you know, there's all those sorts of things. But just because you want to create a picture in your consumer's mind, and so just sort of putting that together, and do it with your team. Like, don't make it a although I said it's great to have CEOs involved, but you know, it's shared ownership if you've got a small enough team, or if you've got a team that you can involve in that, because that's the buy-in you want. And so you might think that you are, Sean Connery, and somebody else might think you're Roger Daltrey. If you're going to use it. No, is it? Who's the other James Bond one? Not the good one.
Yeah, from the 70s, 80s, 70s. What was his name?
Roger Moore. Yeah, Timothy Dalton.
Roger Moore.
Timothy Dalton. Yeah.
Timothy Dalton. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you Sean Connery? And your people might say, "Oh, you're Timothy Dalton." So get those things down, and then you can start to look at, okay, how are we going to reach these people? And then those, if you can use your Google Insights to get some form of data, then that's all fine. But have that, have that personality that you're going to stick to and come back to. And it doesn't need to be fully refined, and but at least if you got that, when you evolve and as you grow, you've got a story to come back to. Because the one thing that I always engage with small businesses is like, what's your story? Because we all want to tell stories, and we all want to hear stories, and we all want to, respond to them. And so have that story about who you are. Like, I don't go as far as like that trend on recipes where like you talk about, I love this apple pie. My grandmother used to make it when I was 6, and I used to walk across it. It's like, and just give me the recipe. Like, just, but having that story, knowing who you are, will just layer upon layer upon layer.
That's another pie metaphor.
Love my pies.
So Pete, how do you take that and you turn that into marketing material and collateral that actually works? How do I do that?
Yeah, I think there are DIY tools. There's the Canvas and there's all those, and then there's conversations you can have with smaller designers, smaller freelance independent designers, to get you some, just to level up a little bit more. So it's not all yourself kind of like, I think I can do it. And so having that, but then just being, really clear on where you want to play. Like, are you going to create a Facebook community and keep those messages in that space? Are you going to go into a LinkedIn and go professional? But I think, the thing with social is that you've got to wear so many different hats. It's, the big debate on LinkedIn at the moment is should there be politics on LinkedIn? It was started as a recruitment tool, and now, companies bought it. Instagram, is it all about beautiful imagery? Do you have the beautiful imagery to support that? If you're just going to put something in there that's, not fitting with the aesthetic of that platform, is that the right place for that message to be? And so be sort of responsive, intuitive to the channel that you're looking at, because those channels are free, and as I say, you can put some money behind them. But just, how do you want to engage with this? You want to build a community. You want to just keep growing that sort of support network that you've got around you, and rinse and repeat for a while, because you've got to have some consistency. You've got to have some continuity. You can't keep changing hats like every couple of weeks. Maybe when you start out, that's acceptable. But I think once you start to get into it, it's like, okay, give me some continuity. Like, I know who this brand is now. I know the voice they're using. Oh, good. It's an old friend. I'm going to, click and see what they're up to now.
Yeah. Do you reckon, like, a lot of small businesses are so focused on, conversion, and quite rightly so, they don't have the budget or the money to do a emotive brand campaign, if you like. Do you think it's tacky, or do you think it's necessary to drive really hard after a sale when you're doing your marketing activity as a small business? How do you do it well, I suppose? Is the question, because you see so many of these places you come in, and like, somebody will approach you with, so like, even if it's LinkedIn, and oh no, here's one of those people that just wants to connect so that they can send me their templated copy paste sales pitch, or you see an ad that looks like every other ad come up in your Instagram feed, and it it doesn't hit, it doesn't, but the reality is, for a small business, you need to get some money in the door. We don't have the luxury of developing the brand's awareness, you know, in a deeply qual kind of a way. Like, how do you do that well? Like, how do you do sales, high conversion stuff well? Because like that's so much of what Xero's built on, eh?
Yeah, I think in the early days there was probably a lot of 50% off and promo code. That was a big driver in the early days. We still do it for new entrants into the want to get into it, but I think for small businesses you've got to be genuine. Like people don't mind a 50% off, 25% off, 33% off sale from you. You can play with that. You could be humorous around like, oh no, here's another sale, or whatever your tone of voice would actually work to do that. But people know you're a business to sell a product or a service, and I think that's just be honest. Don't try and hide behind some other thing like, oh, we're doing you a favor, or like to me,
check us to sign up.
Yeah, to me now, we are in the age of honesty and transparency, and that's one of the things that people will discover you if you try and hide behind something else. So I think it's about just being upfront. Look, we're new to market. We're offering you this deal. You don't want to be like, it's a holiday weekend. There's going to be a 50% off sale with that company. Or you may want it to be like that. You may want to be known as the company that's always on sale. But I think, play to, honesty and transparency, because you will get found out so quickly, or that doesn't ring true. And I think for me personally as well, as a consumer, it's like, what rings true about this?
How do I know? Like when I get down to it, and I've got an idea of what my brand stands for, and like I figured out a way to be authentic and to be true and forthright about what's going on and where we're at. When it comes to actually that becoming a piece of creative, like how do I know if my creative is any good? Like how do I know? Because there's a lot of people who give it a good effort, and like they may have done a lot of good work up until the point that the creative hits the platform or the paper or whatever it is. For a small business, if you're going to do a quarter-page newspaper ad, man, that's big bucks, bro.
Oh,
so like that might be and if your creative ain't right, it could be money down the toilet. How do you know? Like, what are the hallmarks of great creative from your perspective?
Yeah, look, there's always there's instinct is a great one. It's super simple. like have you got?
I think this might be a bit shit.
yeah. Have you got good creative instinct? Is always a challenging one. For me, it's when you're in sort of an agreement, and like there's always going to be that moment of fear. You put something out, is it going to work? It's the same as when somebody starts a small business. Like, is this going to work? Is it going to take off? So all of that bravado or all of that anxiety that you've got when you started your business is something that you got to put out, because I'm putting money behind this, and I'm putting this in a full-page ad. There's obviously smaller ways to enter the market. You can go in with not a half page. You can go as a quarter page or a small ad. You can start to test the market. You can always test out how some things would work in a certain way. Like, we're going to introduce photography into our brand imagery. So we've done this shoot. Let's sort of start putting some out there and seeing how it might land. And then obviously you're more reactive on social or more reactive on Google Display, because you can see those clicks coming through. And so it is like one of those big risks. You can put process around it when you're reviewing whoever's done the ad for it. If you've done it yourself, you can write yourself a little brief, like, what does it need to do? Like, who am I talking to? What's their current behavior? What do I need their behavior to change to, and how am I going to do it? And then when you look at that work, you can start to go, what do I see first? Like subjectively, the eyes. Like, that's how you're going to, people are going to be attracted to it. Does it appeal aesthetically? What do I see? What do I feel? Because art, design, commercial, creative, it's all about an emotional reaction. What do I feel when I see this? That person's crying in the image that makes me sad, or all those kind of basic semantic needs. And then finally, what do I think? And that's where you get really objective. Is this going to? Is it Is it legible? Is it does it the message come across strong? Is the price point there? Is my logo there? Is my website there? All those sorts of things. So see, feel, and think, and that's how you can sort of review the work. But yeah, it's when you sort of put it out there, there is some stuff that's just like there obviously there are brands that are existing, and you know, National Bank years ago we had the black horse. It's like, just stick a black horse on it, everyone will know it's us. And that was great. But when we moved across into ANZ, it's like, just put a young couple there looking to buy a house. It's like, oh, that looks exactly like the other bank who got a couple trying to buy a house. That looks like the other bank. And so how did you distinguish it? And brand was how you started to distinguish that.
That's interesting. Someone in the comments said, I understand it easier when I think a brand is a promise.
Yeah.
We talk about brand promises quite often. What's the value of a brand promise?
Yeah, that is one of those great pyramids. It is something that you can always put money against this. Like some people who are really, I haven't seen it for a long time, I can't even remember one, will put money against their brand promise. If I don't do this for you, like money back guarantee. Years ago in Wellington, there was a retailer. It's the putting right that counts, and made this offer that would be available 24/7 to come and fix any washing machine that they sold you. The folklore goes that somebody rang him in the middle of the night to say, my washing machine's broken, and he rang back in the middle of the following night to ask if the washing machine was working now. But that promise can have a guarantee, a financial guarantee to it. We always sort of work on like this idea of what's the foundation, what's sort of your driving message that you want to have, and then layer up to that. And the promise should be something. It's like a brand promise is like high altitude. It needs oxygen of campaigns and in-market messages and different creative ideas to feed that promise, give it oxygen. And so sometimes it's a tagline, and sometimes it's just like the idea that Steinlager, the America's Cup, make the boat go faster. A promise, the thing that they put on the side of the boat. Or the Red Bull Academy. It wasn't about Red Bull gives you wings. It was about energizing you. Same as Nike had one. Nike's brand promise isn't just do it. It's around make you feel like an athlete. That's what they're there to do. So just do it. It's just how they sum it up in a brand tagline. Yeah,
those are all super good points. You've seen so much creative in your time, Pete. Like when you think about great pieces of creative that people can go and have a check out on YouTube or a Google up of after this, are there a couple that stand out for you, and what are they, and why do they stand out?
Whoa, that's a tough one. That makes me wish I'd
prepared. Really super tough.
Yeah. I mean, there are those big sweeping brand campaigns from the early 2000s. The Guinness, the horses running through the water. It didn't just like this amazing cinematography. Like, what is going on here? It looks beautiful, and that's all about in Guinness. Again, alcohol one again, but the keep walking, Johnny Walker, this one-shot ad of the actor Robert Carlyle just walking like through the Scottish Highlands, and every point he hits, there's another piece to the story, and he just tells this whole history of the story of Johnny Walker, and I think that was just phenomenal storytelling. It really evoked what it means to that brand. It talked about its history. It talked about its craft. All those sorts of sort of early 2000 ones, like they still like, ooh, I'd love to be able to I'd love to be able to get the budget. I'd love to be able to pull something off like that gets those stories going. But we've got them in New Zealand. Like we had Blaze Taika Waititi did for Land Transport, Waka Kotahi. Cool. The real simple execution drove home the message. 2 kids talking about their father's drug driving. We did. I was lucky enough to work alongside the Land Transport and the campaigns that we're working on there, and those ones, that behaviour change, shifting from this Tasmanian, this Victorian model of gore and shock to humour. And I just remember in 2007 or 2008 saying there is no way we can use humour in driver safety ads. It's just not going to work. And suddenly we've got ghost chips. Or Monique thinks you're dumb, and all these things, and shifting that sort of message. So those things, there's been a behaviour change. They're not. I mean, they're not great examples for small businesses. I'll give you that. But some of the there's just things in there that you go, that is such a an award opportunity, like the Whopper. The Whopper Hotel, where you could go and cheat on your burger, and they converted a motel into a Burger King. Those sorts of playful things, they're the kind of like, I'd like to do that. But
they're blazed in the ghost chips though. I mean, those aren't massive budget things, and I wonder, probably the Nike ad that I love the most, you're talking about Nike, is that Find Your Greatness one. With the big kid that's just jogging up the street, single point perspective, breathing, bit of a voiceover, mate. That thing is still clocking millions and millions of views every single year. So there's something in being able to tell something simply and beautifully that probably small businesses could tap into. Do you reckon?
Yeah, that's it. That's kind of the point I've been driving, is that insight, that human truth. How can you just serve that up? Just that tells you who you are, and that's why I'm personally looking at, like, what's my purpose? Because how do personal brand? How do I take that forward? How do you just sort of present that? And that's the same for small businesses. How do you just summarize it? And it's tough, and you don't have to do it all at once, because you've got multiple bites of the apple when you're dealing with advertising. You can iterate. That didn't work, tweak it. That didn't work, change it. What's working? If you've got the opportunity to see the data. But the simplicity is, I mean, for me, that's the goal. I mean, I talk about when I was a designer, or when I started design, we love chaos because we want to create order. That's the designer's kind of goal, is simplify. What is that? What is that nugget that you want? Because that's what people will remember. They'll remember a story. That's the sort of thing I drive for.
So good, bro. I love that you're talking a bit about purpose too, because for small businesses, so much of what they do is about that self-determination, and that waking up and living that purpose, whatever that is, right? Like, might not be to like build a chain of pie companies or franchise your windscreen repair business. It might just be to have a bit more freedom to draw a little bit more cash this week, so I can have a little splurge on my kid's birthday, or we'll shut up early and we'll go for a surf, or whatever the case may be. And so much of that is the why behind small business, which is so nice, that there's all these people out there living their own very personal version of what success is for them, right? I just I wonder, like, it's like my purpose always has been kind of like I haven't treated it like I'm trying to find this one thing. It's kind of, for me, it's always been, what's my current purpose? Like, I have my big thing, which starts with my kids and my wife and my whānau, and that's my why, and that's my get up, and that's my drive. Then I get down, like, the next layer from that is my people. And so I have that desire to help enable our people, our Māori people, to be able to uplift themselves from whatever position they have been in that is probably less than most people start with. But then as I then shift out beyond that, and I start thinking about the bigger picture and what this journey, for myself with Manaki and our partners and our team has been about, is this group of New Zealanders that choose to live life outside of the traditional sort of parameters of how success may be defined, right? Like career, salary, I don't know, batch. Yeah. And that's what I love about small business. Just how personal it is for them, and I wonder, as you kind of delve in to your purpose, as someone that's been creative their whole life, that has worked for so many other brands and those types of, being parts of massive campaigns that have probably generated millions and hundreds of millions of dollars for brands around the world. When you're at the stage where you're at now, when you're thinking about your purpose, like how are you framing that up for yourself? Like, some people will go, oh, like use the Ikigai framework, or like another pyramid. But like, how for you now at your stage of your career and what you're going through in your journey, are you framing up your purpose?
Yeah, it's not like put it on a piece of paper and bang, there it is. It's been evolving. It's actually just looking back and going, what have I received? For one, I'm grateful for what I've been able to experience in my career, and to sort of work across these big brands and work across big agencies and small agencies and have these different things. So taking on board all of that, and then taking a little bit of a look backward. And I think I always, when I was younger, I was like, right, my goal was going to be, I want to work internationally. I'm bang out of design school. I'm going to go work overseas. I left school when I was 16. I went to university. And so I was like, yeah, this is what I want to be doing. Bang, bang, bang. I want to work in an agency. I want to be a creative director. I got to 25. I was like, oh, okay. What's next? And then it was just like, oh, well, just keep doing what you're doing, man. It seems to be working. And so now it's very retrospective to look back and go like, okay, so in that last sort of 15, 20 years, what have I been doing around me, and acknowledging that I've been working with these great young people, sort of have these great discussions about where people want to take their career. I always get Clemenger, I used to get sort of wrapped over the knuckles, because when people would say, hey, I'm resigning, I'm going to go work at DNA Design, or I'm going to go work at DesignWorks, all these big agencies, I'd be like, that's amazing. Fantastic. Oh, that's a huge achievement. Like, well done. You've managed to get to the next stage of your career. And I'd get wrapped over the knuckles saying those people shouldn't be leaving. And I was like, the people have got to grow. And so I just come to this realization that the one thing that I really enjoy is, we're not saying goodbye to people, but seeing them, reach their potential. And so if they're staying with me, that's brilliant. If they're moving on to something else that's like right for them, then that's even better. So somewhere in there, I feel that creating that space for them to do that work, creating that space for them to grow, feels like it's my purpose. It doesn't come hand in hand with like monetary reward, but it feels to me like it feels good. But that is, knocking on, let's say 48, not 50. Knocking on the later years of my career.
Oh, mate, no, I completely reject that. You're not in the later years of your career, my friend. You're just entering your prime. For me to accept that, given we're the same age, is for me to hoist the white flag as well. Yeah. Good vibrations. Yeah. Yo, Noel, what's up, brother? Good to have you on here. Pete, I want to thank you, bro. It's been awesome to just catch up and chat, and thank you for sharing your experience, your journey, your purpose. Ngā mihi kia koe e hoa. Kia kaha on your journey, brother.
Thank you, Milo. Been great to be here. Thank you.